I never thought something like this could happen to me. You hear stories online, but you always think, that won't be me. Well, I was wrong. Real wrong. My name's Jasper, and about 5 months ago, I moved into this apartment complex called Orlando. Nothing fancy, just a 1-bedroom on the 2nd floor. Rent was cheaper than most places nearby, which should have been my first warning, I guess. Everything seemed normal at first. I set up my stuff, got to know the neighborhood, started my new job. The apartment was nice enough, a little worn down in places, but nothing major. The landlord, Mr. Peterson, was this older guy who always seemed in a hurry. When I asked about the previous tenant, he just mumbled something about them relocating suddenly, and changed the subject. After about a week of living there, I got my first package for someone named D. Mercer. Just left it in the lobby with a note saying, wrong tenant. But then another came the next week, and another after that. For 3 months, I kept getting these packages for D. Mercer, mostly small boxes from online stores, nothing weird. I always did the right thing, wrote return to sender, and put them back in the mail. I even asked the landlord about this Mercer person, but he just said they moved without leaving a forwarding address. Whatever, not my problem. Then last month, this small brown box shows up. No return address, just D. Mercer and my apartment number. It sat in my entryway for like a week. I wasn't gonna open someone else's mail, that's illegal, right? But after staring at it for days, I started thinking, what if it's something important? What if this person never gets their stuff because of some mix-up? So I opened it. I still wish I hadn't. Inside were Polaroids. Lots of them. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then I recognized my bed sheets, my kitchen counter, my living room couch, pictures of my apartment. But I didn't take them. They were all dated too. Every single day for the past month, my hands started shaking when I found the ones of me sleeping. Just lying there in my bed, completely unaware that someone was in my room, taking pictures. There were photos of me showering, eating dinner, watching TV, all taken from weird angles, like from above or through something. I called the police right away. They came, took the photos, asked questions. They seemed concerned but couldn't do much that day except file a report. They told me to stay somewhere else that night, which I did. Crashed at my buddy Keith's place. The next day, I went back with the maintenance guy, Ramon. I told him everything, and we started looking around my apartment. Nothing seemed broken into, all windows locked, door intact. Then I remembered the weird angles of the photos. Could someone be watching from above? I asked Ramon. We checked the ceiling in each room. Nothing in the living room or kitchen. But in the bathroom, right above the shower, Ramon found this small hole. If you weren't looking for it, you'd think it was just a mark in the ceiling, but it was a hole, deliberately drilled through. Ramon got a ladder and opened up the ceiling access panel in the hallway. There's this crawl space above all the apartments, just enough room for someone to move around if they're lying flat. He climbed up to check. Holy shit, Ramon said, his voice echoing from above. You need to see this. I climbed up after him, and my stomach dropped. There was a small area right above my bathroom that had been cleared out. Someone had made a little nest up there. Some blankets, empty water bottles, snack wrappers. A perfect view down into my bathroom. And there were fingerprints in the dust leading all through the crawl space. But the worst part was finding a makeshift bed, with a pillow and everything, like someone had been living up there, watching me. For how long? The police came back and did a proper search. They found more photos hidden in the crawl space, hundreds of them. Not just of me, but of the tenant before me. This D. Mercer person, a woman who had lived there for almost a year. After collecting evidence, the detective told me what they figured out. The previous tenant, Diana Mercer, had complained about feeling watched and hearing noises. The landlord dismissed her concerns. Eventually, she moved out suddenly, without giving notice. They're trying to locate her now. But here's the creepiest part. They think the person in the crawl space was the tenant from before Diana. A man named Curtis, who supposedly moved out when Diana moved in. Except he never actually left. He just moved into the crawl space and had been living there watching the apartments below, taking pictures, coming down when people were gone or sleeping. They haven't found him yet. The police think he fled when I called them. They found a small backpack with some clothes and a calendar, marking when I typically left for work or went to bed. I've moved out now, staying with my parents until I can find a new place. The detective called yesterday and said they found similar holes in the ceilings of 3 other apartments in the building. I keep thinking about those pictures, about how many nights I slept while someone watched from above, about how they could have done anything while I was sleeping. Sometimes I wake up now thinking I hear movement above me, even though I know there's no crawl space here at my parents' house. I check the ceilings every night before bed. I don't think I'll ever feel completely safe again. And sometimes I wonder about Diana Mercer and if she's okay. Did she get out in time, or did Curtis get to her first? I hope the police find him soon, but mostly, I hope they find her. This happened about 2 years ago when I was working at this gas station, out on Route 16. You know that stretch where there's nothing for miles? Yeah, that one. I was the early morning guy. Had to be there at 3 a.m. to open up. It wasn't my first choice, but the pay was better for that shift, and I needed the money for community college. The thing about working those hours is you get to know your regulars real well. Most of them are truckers or factory workers heading to the morning shift. They come in, grab coffee, maybe a donut, and head out. You see the same faces every day. There was this one guy, Mr. Reed, who'd come in exactly at 4:15 every morning. Like, on the dot. I could set my watch by him. Middle-aged dude, kinda skinny, always wore this brown jacket even in summer. He drove a dark blue pickup truck that needed a wash real bad. He'd get a large coffee with 2 sugars, pay with exact change, and we'd chat for like 5 minutes. He'd tell me about his dog or complain about his job at the paper mill. Normal stuff, you know? I didn't think much of it. That's just how it is with regulars. One Monday in October, he didn't show up. I remember thinking it was weird since he never missed a day, even on holidays. I figured maybe he was sick or something. Tuesday came, and still no Mr. Reed. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Nothing. I started to wonder if he found a different gas station or maybe changed jobs. Happens sometimes. Then the next Monday, right at 4:15, I heard the front door open. The little bell jingled like always. I looked up from my phone, expecting to see him, but nobody was there. I thought maybe the wind caught the door or something. I walked over to check, and the door was closed. As I was heading back to the counter, I noticed the coffee pot moving, like sliding a little bit on the warmer. I stopped and stared at it. Then I saw the large cup kind of float up and coffee pour into it. I'm not making this up. I swear on everything. The cup moved on its own. 2 packets of sugar tore open and dumped in, and then the coffee stirred itself with one of our plastic stirrers. I couldn't move. My whole body felt cold, like I'd been dunked in ice water. The cup floated over to the register, set itself down, and then the register drawer popped open. Exact change, $1.75, appeared in the drawer like it was dropped from invisible fingers. I ran into the back room and didn't come out for like 20 minutes. When I finally did, the coffee cup was gone. The next day, same thing happened. And the day after that. Always at 4:15 a.m., always a large coffee with 2 sugars. Always $1.75 in exact change. I didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? They'd think I was on drugs or something. So I just dealt with it. Started taking my break at 4:15 and letting whatever it was do its thing. About 2 weeks after this started happening, 2 police officers came in around 6 a.m. They asked if I knew a Darren Reed. I told them, yeah, he was my 4:15 regular, but I hadn't seen him in a while. The older cop looked at his partner real quick, and then asked me when was the last time I saw him. I said about 3 weeks ago. That's when they told me Mr. Reed's sister had reported him missing 3 months ago. 3 months. But I'd been seeing him every day until 3 weeks ago. That didn't make any sense. I told them I had proof he'd been coming in, that we had security cameras. The manager pulled up the footage from a month back. There I was at the register looking up and smiling, talking to Nobody. The door opened and closed by itself. Coffee poured into a floating cup. Money appeared in the register drawer. I felt sick watching it. The cops asked me more questions, but I could tell they thought I was nuts or playing some kind of joke. They left their card and told me to call if I remembered anything useful. 2 days later, they found Mr. Reed's truck in a ravine about a mile from the gas station. His body was still inside, badly decomposed. The coroner said he'd been dead for about 3 months. And here's the part that still keeps me up at night. They think he died around 4:10 a.m. on a Monday morning. His truck went off the road on his way to the gas station. They figured he fell asleep at the wheel, but he still came to get his coffee, every day, for 3 months. I quit that job the next day. Couldn't handle being there anymore. Sometimes I drive past the gas station, and I always check the time. If it's anywhere close to 4:15, I drive a little faster. I don't know why Mr. Reed kept coming even after he died. Maybe it was just habit. Maybe he didn't know he was dead. Or maybe he just really needed that coffee to start his day. Whatever the reason, I'll never work another early morning shift again. And if you're ever driving on Route 16 around 4 a.m., keep your eyes on the road. Mr. Reed is still out there somewhere, and I don't think he's watching where he's going anymore. This happened to me and my husband Dax just a few months ago. I still get chills thinking about it. We weren't looking to buy a house so soon, but when we saw the price of this foreclosed property in Oak Ridge Hills, we couldn't pass it up. The neighborhood seemed nice enough. Quiet streets, decent-sized yards, friendly enough neighbors who waved when we moved in. The house needed work, lots of it. The previous owner left suddenly, that's what our realtor told us. Some financial troubles or something. We didn't really care about the backstory. We just saw potential. Dax works construction, so we figured we could save money by doing most renovations ourselves. I remember the day we started tearing down that wall between the kitchen and dining room. It was a Tuesday, and I had called in sick because I wanted to help. Funny how I remember stupid details like that. Dax had been complaining all morning about how the measurements of the rooms didn't make sense compared to the outside of the house. There's like a 3-foot gap that doesn't add up, he kept saying while staring at the blueprint. I wasn't really paying attention, just nodding while I scraped old wallpaper. When his sledgehammer broke through the drywall, we both expected just studs and insulation. Instead, there was darkness. A small space, like a closet or something. But it wasn't on any of the blueprints. Dax shined his flashlight inside and went quiet. I still remember the way his face changed, how his expression just dropped. I asked what was wrong, but he didn't answer, just stepped back and said, "Trina, you should see this." The small space was wallpapered, not with actual wallpaper, but with Polaroid photos, hundreds of them, all carefully taped in rows, each showing different families in this house before us, eating dinner, watching TV, sleeping. Normal everyday stuff, but taken through windows from outside, without them knowing. I felt sick going through them. Each family looked normal, happy, unaware they were being watched. Then I reached the newest ones. My hands started shaking when I recognized our blue couch, our dinner table, Dax and me bringing in groceries, us sleeping in our bedroom, all taken within the past month since we'd moved in. Behind the wall of photos were notebooks, 5 of them, filled with tiny handwriting. Each page had dates, times, notes about routines. Monday, leaves for work 7:15 a.m., returns 6:20 p.m. Child's bedroom window unlocked. Security code 4729. There were alarm codes when people would be away, where they kept spare keys. I couldn't breathe. Dax called the police right away. They came within minutes. I guess they could tell from his voice this wasn't a joke. The detective told us later they connected the previous owner, some guy named Gerald Hayes, to 12 unsolved home invasions in the neighborhood over the past 5 years. The creepiest part was that none of the families ever realized they'd been watched for weeks before the break-ins. They never found him, though. Gerald disappeared completely. We installed a security system the next day. Cameras everywhere. motion sensors, the works. We almost sold the house, but the market crashed right after and we couldn't afford to take the loss. Last week, our backyard camera sent an alert at 3 a.m. When I checked the footage later, I saw a figure standing at the edge of the woods behind our property, just staring at our house. The image was grainy, but I swear he was holding something that looked like a camera. The police came again, searched the woods, found nothing. They said they'd increase patrols. But what good is that really? Yesterday, I found a Polaroid slipped under our front door. It showed Dax and me sleeping in our bed from 2 nights ago. I haven't told Dax yet. I don't know what to do. We can't move. We're stuck here. And I keep thinking, if he could build a hidden room in this house without anyone knowing, what else might he have built that we haven't found yet? I never thought a boring security job would mess me up this bad. But here I am, still jumping at shadows 6 months later. I need to get this off my chest. I took this night guard position at MedCore Research last winter. The pay was good. $18 an hour just to sit and watch cameras. My buddy Darnell hooked me up with the job, said it was easy money. The facility was this big concrete building on the edge of town, lots of labs and offices. My shift was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Not much happened most nights. I'd do rounds every couple hours, check doors, watch Netflix. The cleaning crew would come around 1 a.m., clean for a few hours, then leave. Simple routine. One Tuesday night in February, I was half asleep in the security booth when something on the monitor caught my eye. The cleaning crew was doing their usual thing, mopping floors, emptying trash, that kind of stuff. But something seemed weird. I couldn't place it at first. Then I noticed they never talked to each other. Like, at all. 4 people working together for hours, and not one word. And they moved funny too. Really stiff, like robots almost. I watched closer. They kept cleaning the same spots over and over. One guy mopped the same hallway 3 times. But the weirdest thing was how they'd stop sometimes and just stand completely still for like 30 seconds before starting again. Next night, I paid more attention. They went into labs they never cleaned before. One lady spent 20 minutes at a computer. What janitor needs a computer to clean? I decided to mention it to my supervisor, Mr. Kemp, the next morning. He was this uptight ex-military guy, always wearing those wraparound sunglasses inside the building. "Hey, the cleaning crew was acting strange last night," I told him. His face got all serious. "What cleaning crew?" My stomach dropped. "The ones that come at 1 a.m., 4 people, been coming for months?" He took off his sunglasses. "Bryce, the cleaning service is suspended. The company's being renovated. They haven't been here for 2 weeks." We pulled up the security footage. Sure enough, these people had swiped in using badges. Mr. Kemp checked the system. The badges belonged to employees who quit months ago. The FBI showed up that afternoon. They set up in the conference room and interviewed me for hours. They showed me pictures. Recognize any of these people? I recognized all 4 cleaners. Turns out they were spies from some competing pharma company. They'd been stealing research on some cancer drug worth millions. The FBI agent said they'd been coming for almost 6 months. That's when they showed me more footage. Footage of these fake cleaners standing outside my security booth, watching me through the window while I played on my phone or dozed off. Sometimes for an hour straight, just watching me. One night, one of them even came inside while I was doing rounds. The camera caught them rifling through my backpack, looking at my driver's license, writing down my address. I quit the next day, moved to my cousin's place 2 states away. What keeps me up at night isn't just that they were there. It's that my gut knew something was wrong long before I admitted it. And I wonder what would have happened if I never said anything at all.